Hello?
Hello, Jughead. This is Archie. Come over right away. It's a matter of life or death.
Oh, relax, Archie.
Attention, all true believers. Marvel Comics is on the air.
The friend of the unfortunate, enemy of criminals. In reality, Dan Garrett, a rookie patrolman, loved by everyone but suspected by none of being the Blue Beetle.
Boys and girls, your attention, please. Presenting a new exciting radio program featuring the thrilling adventures of an amazing and incredible personality. Faster than an airplane, more powerful than a locomotive, impervious to bullets.
Up in the sky, look! It's a bird! It's a plane! It's Superman!
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Warner Brothers, if you have a problem with me playing that opening once in a while, well, I have a finger you can look at. So, you know, we're going to do it every once in a while. What's up, everybody? It's producer Kyle. This is Kyle and Jay's Q&A, where we answer your questions about things and stuff and junk. Tonight's show is supposed to be an AMA about the EXP, but we're going to talk about Free Comic Book Day and maybe some other stuff. So we're going to get into it here really quickly, but I just wanted to give everybody a shout out who's here. And I want to remind everybody that we have new programming all of the time and we're working on some new things. So just be watching out, be watching and following our social media, be watching and following our mailer, all of that kind of stuff. And then, yeah, let's get to it. What's up, everybody? Welcome in. This is Kyle and Jay's Q&A. And this show was Jay's idea.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you want to tell people what we're doing and why you had this idea?
I've wanted more experienced folks' participation in some of the shows. As far as, you know, there's a lot of things about the EXP I think people still don't really get the whole idea behind. I think there's a lot of stuff such as there's some folks that probably think there's only 3 shows on the experience. But it's one of those. There might be some Superman discussion, Preston. You never know with me.
Preston, ask Jay about the reel I sent him earlier.
Oh boy!
Let's just put this way: Skeletor has forever changed the way Jay thinks about Superman.
Poor Clark.
And, you know, Superman's parents.
Poor
Ma
Clark.
and Pa Kent. If you know what I mean.
But I wanted to do kind of like this community forum kind of thing. You know, if you got questions about, hey, what's up, Joey? You got questions about the experience, you know, ask them. Kyle can probably answer a lot more than I can on that subject, but I know folks have questions about the experience, and there's no stupid questions, folks. You know, if there's something that you want to know, ask away. I want to get y'all involved because this channel, while it has great folks on it, we're kind of nothing without y'all. It would just be us talking to each other, which I'm fine with, but I probably wouldn't get paid to do that. So I want to get y'all involved. I want y'all to ask questions.
Yeah. So Jay asked some folks to come on and kind of be our panel, as it were. And one of them showed up, and the other one's probably chugging water and like recovering from his own live show that literally just ended. That's why we were a few minutes late. We were waiting for him to get done. He will be joining us shortly. But Jay, introduce your people.
Well, first up,
I'm gonna make Jay do the work, guys. I'm literally just gonna sit here and
that's fine. First up, y'all know this dude from the chat. If you watch the Hydrosylum hangouts on Saturdays, you'll see him very often. Welcome in someone I never say this to, Mr. Nope.
What's going on, guys?
Yeah, no. So we maybe have some others showing up too, but so this is what we want to do, guys. If you have questions about why things are the way they are in the EXP, if you have questions about, things like that, questions about individual shows, maybe not why do shows do certain things, but why are things a certain kind of way, throw them out in the chat. Nope will ask some questions. I'm sure he has some stuff. If he doesn't, then it's going to be a very Turtles heavy show because we're just going to talk about Turtles. But if he does, then that's great. But everybody else, throw your stuff out in the chat and let us answer it. Like Steve Vendetta, Jay, will there be a light at the end of your tunnel?
There you go. All it is forehead, folks.
I hate that joke. But throw it out there. Let us know what you're thinking. Nope. Did you come with anything prepared?
Not too much since we're not getting into super specifics or nothing. But
well, I mean, ask what you're going to ask, and we'll navigate it, I suppose.
Well, it just kind of has the blanks on the collectible show. Yeah. Sometimes there's random characters on the random covers. Which is fine. Because the art's always great, but I think I might have said it to Jay earlier, I'd be more inclined to buy it if there was like a personal story with it. Like, say, if I took it to a con, kind of like your turtle story with, you took a Turtles cover to Eastman and he drew you a Usagi, but you were expecting him to draw you My Little Pony, which would have been fine because you knew what you were asking for.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of my point behind that. But like sometimes they're just totally off in comparison to what titles are actually up there. So, and that just bugs me a little bit just for a visual OCD thing like that. But
what I can tell you about that is that is a process that Dynamic Forces developed specifically for their shows, where they send blanks out to individual artists and that kind of stuff. And I don't know that there's a whole lot of draw this, draw that.
Right.
It's a draw what you think would look good on this cover kind of question. That said, sometimes they're drawing stuff that is in the zeitgeist. So they're drawing Daredevil because Daredevil has come out.
Right.
And even if they have an Avengers cover, or, they're drawing Batman because there's Batman news, even if it's a Justice League cover or something. So there's some of that. And at the same time, one of the things DF has done for a lot of years is provide that kind of product through either remarks or head sketches on collectible books, or again, the Ken Hazer stuff, which is where it all started. Through my shop for years, I was able to buy Ken Hazer sketch covers that I could sell in my store through Diamond. So it's always been a thing that they've had, and they've done it this way. Why it has become the way it has become, I think just has to do with the number that they're trying to get done.
Right.
It's become such a prevalent part of that show. And it really, when the show first started, that was really the thing that sold most. So it became one of those things is that they're trying to build an inventory. And sometimes when you have to build an inventory quick, you lose inventory control. Hey, Jay, why don't you bring in our other panelist, our other homie?
You guys just saw him, but it's always good to see him. Welcome in, Triple B.
Yo, what's going down, everybody? Man, Triple B's in Haunted Basement Studio. I'm so glad to be on the EXP. And what are we all talking about tonight? I hear you talking about some Dynamite. I'm a Dynamite fan lately. Like kind of like what really brought me into comic books back in was, you know, Vampirilla, Red Sonja, Sweetie Candy Vigilante. And yeah, I guess like what they do with, I guess they had Dynamic Forces, because I didn't know that. And they do a lot of different like books with like all the other publishers, Marvel, and like the big guys out there, DC. And I didn't really realize that, but then like they have their own, you know, little niche, you know, their own little, you know, characters that they buy, that they own.
So maybe that's something I can answer. Triple B, me, Jay, Nope, I know are old enough to remember, but whether they remember it or not is a different question. Back in the day, do y'all remember when you could go on QVC and buy like Spider-Man trading cards and signed comics and that kind of stuff? That was Dynamic Forces. That was Nikki.
Okay.
Like I have video of him with like a full-on mullet hanging out with Scott Hanna and Todd McFarlane talking Spider-Man from QVC. And so Dynamic Forces has always been a direct-to-consumers collectibles company. Then 20 years ago, well, 22 years ago now, something like that, they launched Dynamite in order to publish product that Nick wanted for DF. In order to publish things like Vampirella and Barbarella and some of that kind of stuff that was out there that could be published, but they weren't being published. And so that's where Dynamite came from. So the two companies are owned by Dynamite Entertainment. They're two different wings of the same company. Kind of like my company has the production wing and the studio wing, right? Like it's the same company, but we do two different things, and it's two different bank accounts, and it's two different management structures, and it's two different. That's how they are, even though they're in the same building. And Rex goes to the DF side and grabs some stuff and brings over to the, you know, like it's all that kind of stuff. Like if I need to go do voice work, I just use the studio space that we use for the studio company, the audio company, to do it. So that's kind of how that company works out, right? That's kind of how that structure is they deal in collectibles, but they also publish. So that's a thing. But no, Triple B, what we're doing is we're doing Q&A, questions about the experience, talking about questions we have about shows, about why things are the way they are, about what we're doing, and that kind of stuff. Leonard, is the EXP a nod to the gaming term? Not really. It's short for experience. I got tired of typing it. It's real talk. I got tired of typing experience. Oh, and by the way, when we started, I could not spell it right to save my life.
I still can't.
I was spelling experience wrong so many different ways that it got to the point where it's like, you know what? Let's just shorten it. And you know, the problem is you can't buy the exp.com.
Okay.
Like you just can't buy it. So we had to go with the EXP Live. We had to do some of this kind of stuff. And there are other comics experiences, right? So we're the comic book shopping experience is our full legal title. We're the experience. We're the EXP. But there's also Comics Experience, which is a shop in San Francisco run by the wonderful Brian Hibbs. And then there's also CEX Publishing, Comics Experience Publishing, which is a they're partnered with Comixology now, and the new Comixology that's part of Dark Horse and some of that kind of stuff, where it's a process you can go through that will help you get your books published. So
interesting.
There are multiple experiences, so we had to differentiate ours. So we just made it real short and made it so I couldn't misspell it.
Yeah.
Pastor Michael, so in my experience, there seems to be some shows that are well run and some shows that are so disjointed. Yeah. Everybody has a different experience level here, man. A lot of folks started streaming when we started. Others of us have been doing it for, God, I'm going on 15 years of doing this. You know, Jay, when Jay first started, Jay was pretty disjointed. And now Hydrosylum exists and Jay's a rock star. You know, it's one of those, like, people have different levels of experience. And at the same time, shows are always trying to do something different, something unique, something new.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, it doesn't always go the way you'd hoped.
Yeah.
Like if you look at my sales shows, like I'm constantly trying to do new stuff, and Nope will tell you sometimes it's just like, what is he? This is taking forever. So it happens that way. Okay. TJ James wants to know who drew the Duck Dodgers behind you, Mr. Nope. You're muted.
The one on the bookshelf or the one in the back? Or the
Both.
one underneath it? The one up there, that's actually an original Saracel. So I think Chuck Brooks did that, or Chuck Jones did that one. And then these two down here, my girlfriend did. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she paints. So
nice. It's always nice to have somebody with talent in your,
right.
in your circle, right?
Yeah, she does some of them. I'm like, well, I can't draw worth the shit.
Yeah, right.
Whatever. We've all seen the Goku.
Yeah.
Blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while.
When I draw something, it usually takes me about months to do it, and I haven't been able to do it in a long time, but when I do it, it's like, I got to get every line perfect. It's such a tedious task, but it's fun how they come out. Yeah. So, but I should actually get into that. It's just so hard when I was doing it when I was single, and now I got 2 kids and they're in school, and then I got to work my butt off at work. And then I want my free time. Like, I want to do videos and YouTube. So yeah, it's a little bit tough to draw these days, but it's always, drawing is so much fun. Drawing and, getting like the black and white and then throwing color to it and stuff. What was always so much fun. Like, I don't know about you all, but like when I was like going through school, I would definitely like art class was my favorite class. Like just being able to like draw stuff and I always would do like comic book characters. That's always what I would do. Like, no, I'm like, oh, I won't draw a real portrait. No, I'm going to do a comic book character. I created like a character like the Ghost Rider, his skull on fire and stuff, and wearing like a leather jacket. I'm like, yeah, this guy is so cool. My art teacher was like, no, that's not good.
So, okay, Preston said, any chance EXP will do some comic history story shows, or are there too many of those on YouTube already? Well, there's a long answer and a short answer. Short answer is we'd love to. Long answer is if we're going to do it, it has to be different from what exists already, right? What was his name? Brandon, who just passed away.
Comic Storian?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did such a great job that it's like, I don't want to go stand on that guy's street corner, right? And like those videos are around forever and his family can make money off those forever. And I want that to continue. So whatever we do has to be different from that. That said, at the moment, I don't have anybody who can. I'm working on somebody, but at the moment, it's just like, can I, with my schedule, swing another show?
Yeah.
Can Jay, with his schedule, produce another show? Who can we bring in who will do the work of like the research and the writing and the putting it together and all that kind of stuff? Because
a lot of work.
I ain't got time and Jay ain't got time. So we're playing with it. There's somebody who I've talked to about it, somebody who you all know. Someone who will probably beat you up if you don't show up to watch it. That I'm working on, but I asked them to go away for a month and figure out what they want to do and how they want to do it and then get back to me. And that was like 2 weeks ago. So hopefully soon, but we got to figure that out. So working on it is the short answer. Jay, what are the other questions? Okay. Steve, is Chuck still with EXP? I missed his interview trivia show. Chuck is still part of the fam. That show will likely not come back. Just because time and energy. And Chuck needed Wendy, right? And since they are no longer together, he would have to do it all on his own. And Chuck has books to edit, and he has a job, and he has all this other stuff he's got to take care of. So that show will likely not come back. I have a couple of things in the works with Chuck, including one show that I can't talk about yet that literally everybody on screen right now is probably going to be involved with. But I also have another couple of shows that Chuck and I have discussed. So I want Chuck to come back. Chuck will likely come back. When Chuck will come back?
Yeah.
Leonard, I don't know who that is. Wait, is that Jimmy Boom Boom Walker from Good Times?
For a second.
There are copyright laws preventing any of that kind of stuff, Steve, and I am not a good enough guitarist to do it. Okay.
Jimi Hendrix should be calling.
Well, right. I mean, that's the problem. Like, if I could play something similar to get that done, I would, and we would do that. But like, does anybody remember we did a riff on a scene from the IT Crowd called Street Countdown in the early days of the EXP?
Oh, goodness.
And it was actually the guy who plays Wong in the Marvel Cinematic Universe now was in this episode. And it's this British game show called Countdown. And they have like this street scene where it's like, the first rule of Street Countdown is you really must tell everyone about Street Countdown. It's a very fun game, and it's better when everybody shows up. Like, it's literally the opposite of Fight Club.
Yeah.
And what I had done was I had gone the EXP into the microphone and just put it over where he said Countdown. And we got in so much trouble from Viacom. So much trouble. Like, I had to go through and hand edit something like 35 videos to get it out of there, to get the copyright strikes removed. So any of that kind of parody stuff, we've got to be very careful with. I've got a
parody with your guys' thumbnails. Absolutely amazing. So lucky you can't get copy strike with that. Jay and Silent Bob, man, that's amazing. Dude.
Well, so that's one of the things that is like totally legal.
Yeah.
Like taking a public image like that and then modifying it, put our faces on it as a parody. Now, I couldn't call this Jay and Silent Bob Reboot.
No.
But I can make it look very similar. And I'm good. And so that's kind of the answer with the parody kind of stuff is you've got to get very similar, but be distinctly unique. And that takes time and energy and a better guitar player than me to do Jimi Hendrix.
Snoochie Boochies, producer Kyle and Jay Nucci's.
Right?
Love it.
I'm going to see Kevin in 6 weeks. It's going to be a good time. Of course, I'm also going to have to see Ming, which is like less of a good time because we'll have to go to a bunch of dive bars and I don't drink. So I'll have to be like the designated driver for Ming and all of those guys. And it's just like, anyway, I love the View Askew guys. They're all great. Ming is a good friend and Kevin has become a friend through that. So it's like a weird thing.
What's so amazing, like, though, is my mom used to, have to, she fixed VCRs. So, like, that was her job. Like, she knew how to fix VCRs. And so she would go to these shops that would rent out VHS tapes. And, like, she's like, well, I need some tapes that I can, like, play, like, be able to know that your VCR that you rent out to customers are good. And so, like, one of the tapes that she got was Clerks. And it was like a promotional Clerks VHS tape, not for resale. So, like, every, like, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes, you would get a bottom screen line that says, this tape is not for sale. And, like, so it was from VHS. And so I still own that thing. And that's the first time, like, me and my buddy were, like, this chilling. I think we were, like, 16, 15 years old. I'm like, what's this? This is Clerks. I'm like, okay, let's watch it because that's what we used to do back in the day, right? And so I'm like, all right, I'll throw this thing in. I'm like, this thing's in black and white, whatever. And like, not even like 10 minutes into the freaking movie, we were hooked. as hell. And like, you know how many times we had to stop and rewind the tape because we were laughing so much through the whole movie. Oh wait, stop, rewind. What did it say? Because we were laughing so hard. And dude, I just watched that tape over and over and over again. And then we heard that, like, you know, it was actually good. Then the next sequel was supposed to be Dogma, but then Mallrats came out. Dude, I was like first one in the movie theater, first showing of that day. Nobody was, I think there was 2 people there. Watched Mallrats, loved it with Jason Lee. I mean, I'm like, holy crap, dude, this is amazing. And that's like, I mean, yeah, I'm a huge Kevin Smith fan, Jason Mewes fan, and like from that. And then we got Dogma after that. Like, so yeah. That's my little story with them.
I have a great Mewes story, but it's not for air.
I bet it's not.
No, it is, but I don't know that Mewes would want me to tell it to the public. Like I would tell it to you guys, but I don't know that he would want me to tell it to the public. Rich, I didn't see you come in. Hey man, be safe going out tonight. Guys, the Beardies the Geek Chat is off tomorrow night. They are going to see Thunderbolts Asterisk.
That's right. I remember saying that. Yeah.
So during that time, I'll be here. I don't know what I'm gonna do yet, but I'll be here. It may be a breakdown of the several hundred pages of legal documents I read today as it relates to the future of comic book distribution. Or it may not be, because I may put my head through a wall. All right. Pastor Michael, how is it decided what day and time shows are on? Fat Jack's used to be on Sundays. Chuck's Trivia was Wednesdays. Nick Original Art Show was on Fridays. Okay. That is an incredibly complicated question to answer. But the real answer is, it's when are people available? Excuse me, Fat Jack's, when they were still open, was closed early on Sundays, so they could do the show on Sundays. Chuck's Trivia Show was on Wednesdays because that was Chuck's day off from his regular job that he had at the time. Nick's Art Show is on Fridays because that's when Nick wanted to do it. And again, with Nick's schedule, I mean, guys, I don't know if you realize how often Nick and I are texting at like 4 a.m, like Eastern time, about EXP stuff, or how many emails we get from Nick in the middle of the night, because that's when that dude has time to work on things that aren't Dynamite and Dynamic Forces. Yeah. Right. The man, when I started working here, I thought I worked a lot of hours. And in 2020, when we launched, like, there were nights where I would go to bed when Nick went to bed. Like, we would be online and he'd be like, okay, I have to go to bed. I'd be like, okay, I could sleep for a few hours. And then Nick would wake up and start texting me, and I would literally come in from that room into this room and start working again. Like, I was sleeping in the office. We were working so many hours when we launched this thing. And that's just his schedule. He sleeps 4 or 5 hours a night, most nights. And that's the schedule I keep now, which is kind of a pain in the neck. I'll be honest. Literally, my neck hurts from sleeping in a chair. So the schedule is predicated on when people are available. Now, there are shows, for instance, like this one, that is here because this was a time slot that became open and we wanted to put something in. So Jay and I made up a show. Devil's Advocates, that it used to be on Mondays, was a similar thing. We wanted to work with Bronze. Bronze was available on Monday nights. We came up with a concept and we put it there. Wonderland is Tuesdays because I wanted a show where you could buy this week's releases on Tuesday night. So I went and found someone who could accommodate that. So there's some of that, and then there's some of it's just like, when can you do it? Okay, great. Like Comic Industry Insiders is Tuesdays at 2. That's when everybody's available. You know, or FOC, we do Fridays at 1 because that's when FOC closes. So that's when FOC finalizes. So we're live right as soon as FOC finalizes. By the way, that show might move back an hour. Not 100% sure. We might start going live at 2 Eastern, just so we give them an hour to actually finalize FOC and everything can actually be in, instead of us texting it like the last 7 seconds trying to get stuff together. That could be a thing. I don't know. We're talking about it. So It was that's kind of how that schedule works. It's availability, it's opportunity and availability.
So I got a question.
Not Freudian slip. Literally, we were working so many hours to get this thing launched. None of us were sleeping, and the only time we slept was when one of us had to pass out.
Yeah. So I got a question because I remember the very, very early days of the experience.
Yeah, I can't pay you more.
No, I knew that. We got to get this channel grown before we worry about stuff like that. In the very early days, y'all used to do one long stream. What you would do, what they've told me is, you would have shows pass off to the next show. What made y'all decide to start breaking it up?
2 reasons. Do you know how hard it is to go to the bathroom when you don't get a break for 8 hours?
Yeah.
That's one reason. The other reason, plain and simple, is push notifications.
Yeah. I can imagine like actual views and watch hours would probably have to be put into it. Maybe try to get more, shows out there that are like cut up instead of one long one. And then maybe you can get more views on the rewind.
So there were times we were doing 6 and 8 hours straight. Now, here are some other things that people may not understand. Facebook will only allow you to go 6 consecutive hours. So we would have to end and restart on Facebook. That was at the time. It's 8 now. YouTube had no limit, but after 8 hours, it stopped saving your upload. So like if you did, like when we did the 19-hour live stream for Batman Day, that's gone. It's lost to time because YouTube didn't save our upload because we went so long. Twitch has no limit, but Twitch is Twitch. Instagram, ironically, is supposed to be an hour. I never hit go live on Instagram. Instagram is supposed to be an hour, but it's 4 because it's 4 for some reason. Even though they tell you and everyone else tells you, oh, Instagram is limited at an hour-long live. Whatever. So there's some technical limitations there. There are physical limitations. And then what we would find is whatever the first show of the day was would get the views. And then it would taper off and taper off and taper off and taper off and taper off because who has time to spend 8 hours doing something?
Yeah.
Right. Whereas if we split them up, if you like the first show and the third show of a 4-show day, you can come for the first show, go have dinner during the second, come back for the third. The handoff was a really good idea in terms of promotional, but it wasn't a practical idea. And there are times where it would be worthwhile to do again, but those times are more few and far between. So Dan is right. Nick only goes to the bathroom once a day, and it's at 2:14 a.m. And Dan knows that because Dan gets some of the same emails I get at 2:16 in the morning when Nick finally has a cogent thought. So again, like a lot of the way the experience runs is opportunity and availability. And then it's try something, and when it doesn't work, try a different way. Triple B, do you have any questions? Do you have like Nope had a question earlier about CCAs. Do you have any questions?
Well, I mean, I just I guess like I mean about the whole, I mean, what do you think about like just like YouTube? Like I know you just talking about you were doing long streams and then you cut up the shows. I mean, how is your guys's, I mean, I don't want to like go into like more personal stuff, but like my question.
Do you talk about analytics?
Yes, more like analytics and stuff like that. How's that working out for you? How do you look at your analytics for your shows and rewatch ability, watch hours. Because
Jay,
yeah.
how many hours a week do I spend on this?
Too many.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, because like that's what it's all about, right? I mean, like with me, like it's weird. Like YouTube can be really up and down. Like I'm really like great 1 month, and then like I'm really low 1 month, and like what did I do so wrong this month when I thought I was doing so great this month, and I tried to like repeat what I did that last month that did so great, and next thing I know, I'm like halfway down. It's like, but then yeah, it's really weird to me, and it's like I have a full-time job, right? I mean, I work 45 hours a week. I get 90 hours a paycheck, so I get 10 hours overtime a check. I got to work that extra 10 hours every 2 weeks to be able to like to get that extra money for overtime. And then I come home and like, you know, have a little bit of time to do some videos. They do good. I mean, I'm not monetized at all. I'm getting there. Like it's like it's really weird because like I'm like getting closer and closer and closer. And my wife is just like pushing me like, what are you effing doing? You know, I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm having fun. I love doing what I'm doing, but like the ups and downs in YouTube is really tough for like a smaller, you know, YouTube channel. I don't know, man, but like I guess my question is like, yeah, how do you deal with these analytics, man? Like how do you deal with like trying to maybe to get more watch hours and more views? It's tough, right?
I don't look, but I look. So for the first year that we did things, I never looked at the analytics. Until we got to 1,000 subs and we were monetized, I didn't look at the analytics. Except that I did, because you have to kind of track stuff.
Yeah.
But I made a point when I sat down with Jen and Nick when we first started this thing to say, hey, until we get to 1,000 subs or for the first year, I'm not looking. Because if we look at it, we're going to go crazy. If we look at it, we're going to be like, why is this not doing what we needed to do? Or why is this not doing what we expected to do? Because there were, maybe not from me, but from other people who were involved in this, really unrealistic expectations. I mean, wildly unrealistic expectations. Like the biggest channel on all of YouTube expectations.
No. Yeah.
I'm going, bruh, you do not understand how this works. So I didn't look for like the first year, really. I would check certain things at just when we were trying to figure out if something was or wasn't working, but I wasn't really paying attention. Now what I do is I look in 2-week chunks. If you look too often, you'll go crazy. If you don't look often enough, you'll miss opportunities. So I compared the last 2 weeks to the 2 weeks before. And then I compared the last 2 weeks to the same time last month, the same time frame. So I just did the analytics of, what was it, Jay?
March.
I just did the analytics of
and April.
April 14th through the 27th.
Yeah.
Which was the last 2 weeks, right? So that was today. I spent about 4 hours doing that. And I compared that to the 2 weeks before and came up with a list of recommendations, a list of ideas, a list of things that, okay, this is what we did a month or, you know, the 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks of the month. This is what we did the last 2 weeks of the month, and why are things happening? In terms of how do we count stuff, because what we're doing is more akin to cable than to YouTube, I count aggregates. So I don't care how many views each show gets. I care how many views the channel gets every week or every 2 weeks, right? I don't care how many watch hours an individual show gets. I care how many watch hours the channel gets every 2 weeks. You know, subscriptions on YouTube are aggregate. Watch hours are aggregate. What else do I count every 2 weeks, Jay? Our impressions are aggregate, and that includes shorts, that includes uploads, that includes everything. Our click-through rate is aggregate. Our new viewers is aggregate. So I only count the aggregates. I don't look at each individual show. When I do look at each individual show, it's one of those, well, hey, why is Kyle and Jay's Q&A underperforming? Why do we have a show 2 weeks ago where we had like 9 views? You know, and it's, let me look at that show compared to a show where we had good views. Be like, oh, well, we had 9 views because we kind of sucked that night. Like, just straight up, we were not good that night. So Jay and I can have a conversation about how to be better. And that kind of stuff. With Nancy, I spent 6 weeks just studying Nancy's show. Because Nancy's show I felt was underperforming for what it was. Yeah. And then talking to Nancy, we talked about what her goals were and what I was seeing, and we came up with a plan. And since we enacted that plan, her show has grown 10% week over week. Yeah. So it's one of those kind of, it's my and Jay's full-time job. It's hard to run this thing like as a part-time job or a hobby. What I would encourage you to do, Triple B, is don't worry about the analytics. Just make your content. Right? Just have fun making your content. When you get monetize, but you're not likely to make enough money to not have to go to work and to not have to work the overtime. Like, none of us are going to be Mr. Beast.
No.
Jimmy hit a time and a methodology that was just incredibly unique. None of us are going to be Mr. Beast. And that in and of itself is something that we have to realize and remember. While our channel might start making money, we're not making money off YouTube. We're making money other ways.
Yeah.
That's where the money comes from, is the sponsorships and the affiliate advertising and that kind of stuff. And that's what you can do to start making that mad money off of YouTube. But for the time being, just keep making your content, man. It's good content. Like, I enjoy watching your stuff. I don't get to watch your live shows on Tuesdays because I'm getting ready for this, or Wednesdays because I'm getting ready for this. Yeah. But I enjoy watching your unboxings and stuff. It's good content. Just keep having fun with it.
Yeah, that's what I just want to do, is have fun with it. I'm not trying to freaking quit my job at all. But it's fun, man. I mean, I've been doing something a little bit different too. I got the 2 cameras going on, like different editing, you know. What's cool about it is just like trying to learn how to like upgrade your skills, right? And learn how to do, you know, better producing, and that's just slowly what I'm doing. It's fun, but yeah, like I would love to get monetized, but I'm not quitting my day job, man. You know, I got my 401k.
Health insurance is nice.
Yeah, health insurance, everything. So just a little bit of extra would be cool, but if not,
yeah,
you know,
and that's
I'm having fun.
That should be the goal, is for your YouTube channel to pay for the YouTube channel.
Yeah, that's,
you know, you need to buy another camera. Okay, I've made enough off YouTube to buy another camera. When I bought, you can't see it, I can't show it to you, but my ATEM that I use for when we do the live sales, I can hook 4 cameras up. I could have 4 cameras in here pointing at me right now if I wanted to. I don't, because that's just too much me for anybody to have to look at. But I bought that with money that I had made off of my YouTube channel, which doesn't exist anymore. You know, when I bought my stream deck that I use to control the shows, like, I bought that with money I made off of my YouTube channel that doesn't exist anymore. So it paid for itself. It paid for the upgrades. It paid for the growth. And
some of my YouTube channel to pay for my comics. How about that?
Yeah, no, and that's fantastic. And like my side hustle stuff that I do, the other work I do goes to fund itself. So the money I make off the experience being my full-time job is what I use to pay my bills. Everything else pays for itself. All right. Let's go. We have some questions. Question for the whole panel. If you could pick one comic character property to work with, what property would it be and in what capacity? For example, Captain America editor, etc. Jay, you go first because I know the answer.
Oh man, yep, it would 100% be Superman, 100%. And I'd want to be an editor, and the reason being is I have weird flex, I guess, but I have a lot of independent creator friends that before they put their Kickstarters up, they'll send me the pre-launch page to go through. I've had people send me their comic pages before to make sure. I found misspellings. Misspellings happen. Doesn't matter how many editors you have. It's always good to have another set of eyes look at your books. I've had some where the book was completely done. They sent it to me to look at, and I was like, "You have this character named this in this one panel, and then almost near the end of the book, you gave him a completely different name." So they had to go back and take that out and redo it. So that's what I'd want to do. Like, it's not about correcting people, but I know from myself, at least, I make a ton of misspellings, ton of grammar mistakes all the time.
Yeah.
So I guess it's just easier for me to catch them. So yeah, I would love to be an editor on a Superman book. I mean, I've gotten some Superman books that have been released that I have bought that I'm like, that's not how you spell that. That looks weird. Yeah, I know. Brace yourself, Ed. But I've gotten some that were released to the public where I'm like, man, y'all needed another person to scan this. So I'd love to edit stuff.
Nope.
I'd say the same thing. Probably an editor, but if I had to pick one franchise or whatever, it'd probably be Turtles, for the boring answer. But yeah, color everybody's shocked too. But if I had to pick a secondary one, probably be like Vader or something like that, Star Wars. Because I loved every single one of those Darth Vader single runs, and I don't know. I'd just love to be a part of that. I've always said that, a dream job would be to go and mop floors at Lucasfilm. I wouldn't care,
How about you, Triple B?
Oh, all right. Well, you know what I would do? This is going to sound a little bit crazy. All right. I would take freaking Long Shot from the X-Men and Domino from the X-Men because they have the same power where they are super lucky. And no matter what happens, luck happens. And let's put them against, screw it. Let's put them against Purgatory from Dynamite or Chaos, whatever, where Purgatory is trying to kill freaking Long Shot and freaking Domino. But every time she tries to get them, she can't because they're so damn lucky. And she's like, scratches her head and she's like, why can't I kill these people? It's because they're so damn lucky. And I think
don't give away your ideas.
I think that would be absolutely amazing because I think luck is probably my most favorite superpower, like from mutant would be. Is because they're so lucky. It's like they don't even know. Like all of a sudden they bounce off a wall, and all of a sudden like gun like it's shot off. Like why did this bounce off this wall? Because 10 seconds ago a sniper was going to shoot you, but like you slip and fell, and you fell off a freaking building, but you landed in a dumpster. It's like that was I just think that's so cool. And let's have somebody like an antagonist, like I need to kill these guys, but she just can't. So. I mean, that would just be fun for me.
The easy answer for me would be Turtles.
There you go.
Because I've written enough Turtles stuff that I would say Turtles as a writer. But the real answer would probably be somebody like Four Bushman or Slapshot or, a Mad Magazine kind of thing. Alfred E. Newman, Spy versus Spy kind of. That would be the direction I would go. I would want to write something not at all serious ever. And like even Deadpool is sometimes serious. So Deadpool's out, right? Something that's never serious. But the real answer actually is I would probably not pick a character. I would probably create my own. I would do something indie. And in fact, I have a couple of stories that I've written that eventually I will find an artist for, and eventually I will try and make. but not a high priority for me because I'm not a writer. I am, but I'm not. Like I make videos, I make pretty pictures. Like I don't value my own writing. So someday I'll do it, but for now it's not even on the front burner. It's not even on the stove yet. It's not on the back burner. Nothing. It's just there. So that would be my answer. I'd probably create something of my own, or I would do something just unbelievably dumb. Any shows in the pipeline talking about collector stuff, like archival storage, bags, boards, best practices? TJ, the problem with a show like that is it's a limit. There's a limit to what you could talk about, man. There's only so much of that you can do without actually going into people's collections.
Yeah.
Right? Then it just becomes an interview show where you're interviewing collectors. Which isn't boring. I mean, especially if any of you have seen Dinesh Samdashani's episode of Most Expensivest with 2 Chainz. If you haven't, go watch it. The man shows you the original art page of the first appearance of Miles Morales, like that he paid $4 million for. Like, yeah. Like it's not boring, but it's limited in its reach.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with this concept, Steve. It's not everybody has the patience to do restoration. Not everybody has the patience to do cleaning and pressing. It's a show with a limited run, right? It's not something that we can have an every week episode, an every week show and go for a while. There's nothing wrong with doing a show like that, or again, like this, but they're more likely to be uploads, one shot uploads, or certainly like uploaded miniseries kind of things than to be a regular show.
Picture like carpet cleaning, but for comics. Y'all ever like fall into that rabbit hole, the carpet cleaning videos?
Those videos are so satisfying. Or the guys who paint stripes on roads, or in parking lots. It's good, but it has such a limited run, whereas everything we're trying to develop is stuff that can go every week for a long time. Dan corrected Jay.
Yes.
Dan correcting Jay.
That's what I wanted him to do. Because I know Dan does everything or has done everything in the comic book industry, so I knew he would know the rest of that.
Mm-hmm.
I think, videos about like, speculation and stuff like that is like for certain type of audiences, and like you got to want to do that. Like I'm not like, I wouldn't be like, oh, hey, you need to go buy this book because it's going to like, you can buy it for $5, but guarantee it's going to be worth $125 here next week. Like that's like a different type of niche, and that's something that I wouldn't want to do because I'm not going to try to tell anybody to go buy anything. Like I want you to just go collect what you like. So with that question that you talked about before, Dan's was like, yeah, I don't know, man. Like that's a different type of channel, different type of niche. I don't think EXP is not like that. I like how you do the FOC show, because that's cool, because like, we got, cool comics that are coming out, that you can definitely get, but you guys aren't like, hey, go buy this. You need to go buy this. And
well, you guys get excited about it.
Yeah.
Kind of, because we do it in a way that's, I'm not trying to sell you a book just because I think the book is popular. I'm trying to sell you a book because I read it and I was super stoked on it.
Yeah.
Like
right. Or we think the book is going to be good.
Right.
Yeah.
It's going to be good. It's going to be a great read, not like, oh, you can make money off of it.
Yeah.
So when we first started the EXP, there was a conversation about this. And the interesting thing is that we kind of had an agreement that even if we did that show, we would never talk money. Even if we did a show that was like, these are the hot books, these are the spec books, we would never talk money. We would never say, if you buy this book now, it'll be worth more later, because I've bought Silver Age books that have gone down in price, that have gone from valuable to worthless. I'm looking at you, first appearance of Steppenwolf. That kind of thing. Like, I've bought these books, and there's no guarantees in this business. I've been collecting for 30 plus years. There is no guarantee that because you buy something today, it will be worth more tomorrow. And those guarantees are so few and far between when they do exist. They're books you can't afford. ASM 15s, Detective 26, Action 1. Like, those books are so rare that there's no way to guarantee that the value will go up. So the agreement was, even if we talked about hot books, we were going to talk about them from why are they hot? Why are they selling out? Why are people buying them? Not necessarily, they're going to be worth more later. Yeah. We have one of those videos on the channel, and it was made for us by Bueller. And to be honest, before I put it up, I watched it. And every one of those books are books that you can consistently say, yes, will go up in value. Only because of the books they are. Right? It wasn't, these are the 10 hot comics this week.
Yeah.
And in fact, Nick came to me with that show a year and a half ago wanting to make it with Alex. And I told him, no, it's not our place to do that. There are a bunch of other places that do that. Oh, and by the way, those other places have credibility problems. There are channels and there are shows out there. But they do that and they have credibility problems. They've been accused of manipulating the market. They've been accused of creating false sense of urgency, false sense of security, false sense of value that don't exist anymore. So I never wanted us to have a credibility problem. It's why there are news issues we don't report on here. We don't talk about certain news issues because if we can't speak about them with a certain level of integrity and a certain level of authority, we're not going to talk about them. It's why I spent the day reading hundreds of pages of legal documents. So that when eventually I have to talk about what's going on with Diamond, I can speak from a place of education, speak from a place of authority, rather than just guessing.
Yeah.
And that's all speculation is it's just guessing.
Yeah. I think that's what I really dig about you. Sorry to cut you off, Kyle, but what I think about your channel and the EXP is you guys don't go into hey, buy this book. This book is going to be amazing, or you talk about the stories of the books and how the comic and the art in the books are great. It's not oh yeah, well, this comic book is going to, you can buy it and make you money. No, you're going to talk about the story is great. If you want something to read to pass the time, that's what it's all about. It's all about the writing and the art. It's not about you can make money off of it and try to sell your viewer. Hey, man, you watch my show. I'm going to tell you what book is going to make you money, and you can put it in your collection. You can sell it later. I don't think I've ever watched a show where you guys say that. Not one time.
When it happens, it's because there's a definitive reason. So if you buy a John Romita Sr. signed book, okay, the man is dead. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then that's going to go up. That kind of stuff is the only time we'll ever really do that, right? I just love this.
As that, yeah.
We know we don't overly hype books. Watch Kyle talk about Disney's Hercules, right?
The closest that I've come to doing something price-wise is when I read a book that I think is so good that I say, this book is going to be the next Something is Killing the Children. And what I mean by that is I think things like that are, if you don't pick this up now, when you go to pick it up, it's going to be way overpriced.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean by that. I don't mean to say this book's going to make money, you should buy it. It's more of I think this book is so good, I put it on that level that I think that it will sell, and it'll maybe has the potential to become something like that. But again, I don't do that as you should buy this because I think you're going to get rich off your comic books. No, that's not what I mean. What I mean is I find the book so good. Like, I'm so excited to read Slasher's Apprentice. It's not even funny. Just hearing Shanice and other people talk about it, I can't wait to read that book. Now, I'm not going to buy that book because I think I'm going to make money off of it or it's going to become super popular. I'm going to buy it because somebody I trust said that they thought the book was good. And that's kind of what I want to be. I want to be able to suggest books to people and then be like, well, Jay's not trying to sell me a book just for me to buy it. He's trying to sell me on the fact that he loves this book and I might enjoy it too. Like, that's the whole thing. I always try to do that.
Yeah, that's what I love about it. Exactly. That's what
the
I love
other thing about
it.
the FOC show that's important that I want to make sure everybody remembers. When we tell you, oh, get into your comic shop and order this book, we're not telling you because of value. We're telling you because we think comic shops are going to under order. And if you want this particular book or you want this particular cover, if you have to tell them. Like, if you don't tell them, you can't get angry if they don't have the cover you want. If I want the J. Scott Campbell cover on something, I have to call
not
my
the
LCS.
Rogue one, not the Rogue one this week. Don't freaking even think about it, dude. Don't even freaking think about it. That Rogue cover is ferocious. Take J. Scott Campbell.
Anyway, because my LCS doesn't order any J. Scott Campbell variants unless you special order them. Like, that's the rule. If I want an art germ, I have to call my LCS and be like, hey, I need the art germ. Because they just don't stock that stuff because they can't sell it. It's not something their audience is into. Okay, fine. By the way, all of my Eastman variants are things I have to special order. Because my LCS only orders A covers of Turtles. So I make sure I go in and order 5-6 copies of the B cover. Like, it's this thing. That's the point of the FOC show, is to let you know what's out there so that you can get in and get the things we think you might want. All right. Okay. All right. Real fast. Let's get caught up here. Boom. What happened to the older fellow who was accepting comic book donations for kids and or the disadvantaged used to be? Steve, he's still around. His name is Mark. He's a good guy. In fact, I just spoke to him today. He doesn't run anymore because business is the short answer. The long answer is comic books for kids has grown so much, they are struggling, in my opinion, to keep up. So for us to be advertising and soliciting for donations that they can't handle is irresponsible for them. That said, when Mark is like, okay, we're good, he'll be back because he's a great guy. And what I mean by that is, like, when I say they can't handle, is like tonnage of comics. They're funneling books to Comic Books for Ukraine, to some of these other charities, just because they have so much inventory. And that's not to say stop giving to them, to Comic Books for Kids. That's never going to happen. Jen and I are always going to have stuff on here to support them. But it's like when you take fresh produce to the food pantry, man. If they've got too much, you don't want it to go bad before they can get it out. So you gotta be responsible with that kind of stuff, and that's kind of where that would be. That show has been on my board since day 3 of the EXP, Eddie. There is a cost prohibitive element to that, and there is a legally prohibitive element to that. It costs a lot of money to make a comic book. Even if everybody's doing it for free, it still costs a lot of money to make a comic book. Right? Even if, you're writing it and Nope is drawing it and Jay is editing it and I'm doing the graphic design and we're all doing it for free, we still have to pay to make the book, and that isn't cheap. At the same time, the legally questionable element is who owns the IP then? Mm-hmm. Who owns the comic book? Who owns the characters? Who owns the story? Who owns the art? Who owns the IP? And that becomes a very legally tricky situation. So there is a show that I've wanted to make that when we can afford to make it, we will. That is very similar to this. Yes, TJ. I'm just going to answer that question yes, because I have not. I have not had a chance to formally read it. Oh God, I don't want to read it. What else? Who else has questions?
So about how much does a comic cost to make? Like, say if they were to do a Kickstarter, like what is number one cost to put out there? And then in reference, like what does the Kickstarter funding go towards if they've already put the money towards the book?
Everybody's different. Is kind of the answer to that question. So from my experience in working with Dirk Manning, what Dirk does is he pays for the book. He writes the story, he pays the artist, and he does everything before the book comes out. Then the Kickstarter generally is to recoup that cost and pay for production of the book. Right? So Dirk has a day job that he works. He uses that money to pay the artists, to pay the editors, to pay the colorists, to pay the letterers, all of that kind of stuff. Then he does the Kickstarter, which recoups that money. Mm-hmm. Because otherwise, how would he eat? And then pay for the production of the book. And then when you get the stretch goals, it's additional, it upgrades the book, right? Above that cost. So there's a level of that's how it done. But yeah, it depends on. There you go. It depends on the book. I know people who do it for a lot less than 6 to 10K per issue. I know people who can't do it for that cheap. So
6K an issue minimum. Wow.
Right. I know people who have done Kickstarters where they're into it 3 to 5. But then I know people who can't do a Kickstarter for less than 25. So it's a really, really interesting thing in that everybody's different. When Dan does a book, his Kickstarter costs are going to be different than my Kickstarter costs. Are going to be different from yours. They're going to be different from everybody. Yeah. It really just depends on the book. It doesn't. Again, you still have to upfront the money, and who owns the IP. Everything else matters. Like, you don't want to crowdfund a book that isn't done and then not have the book ever get finished. Yeah. There are a lot of people who have done that, and people hate those people. What you do with the proceeds, fine. You do all the proceeds to charity. I've seen a lot of Kickstarters do that. In fact, I backed one for a Dr. Demento thing that actually went to Alzheimer's research. Right? But you still have to navigate the legal on all of that. So, and by the way, guys, this is the stuff I have to think about every day, all day. When I really just want to be thinking about, you know what? It'd be really cool if Spider-Man did this.
Yeah. I don't know, man, Kyle. You have to have a pretty fun job, man. So
I love what I do. Do not get me wrong. I love what I do. Every aspect of I would not do what I do if it were not for the love of it. And again, that's not just this. That's every aspect of my business. Guys, I leave for a wrestling convention where I am going to get beat up.
Yeah.
I love it.
Good. That's awesome.
I love every part of it. But there are times where this job is a real job.
Yeah.
And there are times where this job is the most fun job I will ever have in my life. So again, it's every job can be a real job, right? Like,
yeah,
there are times where, like today, I'm sitting there on my 6th legal brief, and I'm on LexisNexis looking up case law and precedent so I can understand bankruptcy law. Where this job is a real job.
Yeah.
And then there's, me and Jay goofing around Monday night on, the live sale, or, me goofing around yesterday with the guys from Comic Industry Insiders, where it's just fun. I love talking to Matthias, like, about new books, because that was the stuff I always liked in the store. So there are times where it's a great job. There are times where it's a job. And there are times where I wish I had health insurance.
Yeah, like as a lifelong comic fan, next to working in an actual comic book store, this is probably the closest I'll ever get to being this close to comics. I freaking love. I do. I love my job. I love my job. Anytime Kyle's like, "Hey man, can you work this day?" Yep. Hey, can you pick up this show? Yep, absolutely. But
Except for
also,
Sundays, because Jenna will murder me.
that's true. Well, not every Sunday, but there are some Sundays. You know, she's like, "I'd like to have a date with my husband every once in a while." So
I don't know why I've met her husband. Anyway. But you know, it's funny when Jenna worked here, she was the same way. It's you know, it's one of those things. Pastor Michael asks a fun rhetorical question: what's easier to lift, Thor's hammer or the mountain of paperwork the diamond disaster has created? The simple answer is Thor's hammer. Apparently, Dan, it's this magical thing that makes stuff not cost money when you almost die.
Dan, if you lived in Utah, you can probably get health insurance for freaking $30 a month, man. Like, seriously. Like, yeah.
I should not be drinking Dr. Pepper this late.
Well, it's diet, so then you'll be okay. Don't worry about it.
Just caffeine.
Yeah, I know. But, dude, how long have you been drinking caffeine, man? I've been drinking caffeine since I was freaking 6 years old. I think I'd be all right.
Different caffeines are different, though. Like, different than soda.
Yeah, that's true.
If I had a soda right now, I'd be up for
caffeine
the next
intake
4
is like
hours.
600 milligrams a day.
No, my caffeine consists of like green tea. Drink green tea during the day, beer at night. There you go.
A C4 or a Ghost every morning, Mountain Dews all day.
2 pots of coffee.
Man. Anything's better than alcohol, right? No. I mean, if I wasn't a damn alcoholic, a beeraholic, yeah, I'd be all over that caffeine. But yeah. No, I done drank my my liver retarded pretty much. I don't mean to say that word. But yeah, my liver, gotta slow down on the beer. I used to be drinking like 12 packs of beer every day, you know.
Yep.
But now it's just a little bit at night, water during the day, some green tea. But that's it.
I sent a text to the Comic Industry Insiders guys, which, by the way, I work with them a lot outside of just Comic Industry Insiders, but that's how you all know them. So I refer to them that way. I haven't had a drink in a little over 10 years, but this diamond stuff makes me wish I still drank because it would be easier to understand. So it's one of those. Here, Ed's got a fun question. Speaking of Mjolnir, Thor put it in an elevator, it lifted it. He hung it on a coat hanger, it held it. So how come Stan Lee's truck couldn't pull it out of the ground? There's actually an answer to that question. Thor put those things there. Those things have no worthy or unworthiness. The driver of the truck does.
There you go.
The driver of the truck must be worthy. It's not the truck. If it was cars or something and the truck was just trying to pull it out of the ground, maybe it would have. But the driver is not.
I thought you were going to say something about being a Ford or something.
No.
That's a good answer, though, there, Kyle. That makes perfect sense.
Who gets the honor of working me over this time? And do you get to fight back? I do not know, and no. I am managing a group called the Monsters of Destruction. There are 2 dudes bigger than me. And remember, I'm 6'3", 280 pounds. So these dudes are bigger than me. One of them would make Dan look puny. And I will be taking a chair from their manager, who's a pretty girl. And because she's a pretty girl, I cannot fight back. I do not know who's going to win that match, but we're part of a cup tournament. So if we win, then we will figure out from there.
Sounds fun.
I think Dan's onto something.
If he put a brick on the gas pedal, maybe. I have not thought about this. Speaking of cars, though, people were asking me today, like, how deep is this diamond thing? And I've been describing it as if you watch the end of Thelma and Louise, where they go off the cliff. This diamond thing makes that look like driving Miss Daisy. It just keeps getting weirder and weirder and more wild and more insane every second. So, all right. Anybody else got any other questions? Because we're having a good time. We're hanging out.
Yeah, I wanted it to be kind of not a, I don't want to say a softball kind of show, but it's something not overly heavy.
That show will probably be tomorrow from 9 to 10 when I talk about the diamond stuff. If I talk about the diamond stuff.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see, though. I'm not sure.
I don't know, Ed.
Yeah, Ed, what if Thor what if we attached a helium balloon to Thor's hammer and then the dog from Up peed on the hammer?
Outer space.
I don't even know how to answer that question. So, anyway. All right, guys, last call for... Yeah. TJ, same. I just got it, and I got some more information, so that's a thing. Pastor Michael, that is not a question I can answer. So is the shipping of Dynamite titles like Thundercats going to be delayed? That is not a question I can answer. I did ask Nick if he would appear on the show tomorrow to talk about the Dynamite part in this, and his response is there's nothing he can talk about yet.
Yeah.
Which is a fair answer because, I mean, things are changing. It seems like every 6 hours. So, but when Dynamite is ready to answer questions, that will likely happen here first.
That is an excellent question, actually.
It would be interesting to find someone who could do the math on the percentage of comic book people who have beards. And I wonder if we're over or under the ratio. It would be an interesting... I'd have to find like Sheldon or some sort of quant somewhere to do that. But I don't know.
Sometimes it's just laziness from not wanting to shave.
Right. Sometimes it's because if you do, your head looks like a cue ball. And that makes you real self-conscious that somebody's going to hit you in the head with a pool cue.
And I do it because I don't need to look any younger.
Well, that's true. I started growing a beard when I was 13. Just because I was tired of getting carded. And I haven't really gotten carded since then.
That's why you quit drinking 20 years ago, right? You started drinking too early.
So I got a question for y'all here and for the chat. Free Comic Book Day this Saturday. Is there anything in particular you're super excited to pick up?
Fairyland. Speed Racer.
I kind of skimmed over it, and I don't know because I want to, dude. Like, what sucks about like where I live is the comic book stores has all been monopolized by a certain brand called the Nerd Store, and so they like bought pretty much every mom pop store out there, and so they're like all in the mall now, and there's like malls everywhere in my big city of Salt Lake City. And so, I mean, we do have a Dragon's Lair, but that's out of my county. So I don't really want to drive to Dragon's Lair to go over there. So I just have to do mine online. And like, what sucks with the online one is like, I have to spend so much money to get a certain book or get any book that I want that's available. Like you spend $5, you can get a free comic book day one. So if I spend $20, I can get $5, right? But for free, because last year I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go the free comic book day, and like by the time I got there, I even went there like it was about an hour before they opened. There was already a line like halfway across all around the mall. Like, okay, I'm not going to sit here and wait in line for 3 hours just to get into the comic book store. So it's different because I live in a big city, so it's a little bit different. So I'll just stay at home and get like I already have like my shopping cart on my online store of what books I want to buy. So I'm going to spend a certain amount of money. So right when it's available to open, I can go and buy those, and then whatever $5 I spend, I can get a free book. And then I think I saw some Dynamite books. I think I saw some Marvel books that I might want to get. But yeah, I kind of I'll do it then.
I'm going to recommend a couple to people. One of them is the Marvel book that's out. And I forget which one it is. I'm going to be real honest. I'm blanking on which one it is. But the backup story in it is the introduction to the all new X-Men, or the new giant size X-Men.
Okay.
So that one might be one to grab. I also can tell you, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, Gargoyles Demona #0 from Dynamite.
Okay, yeah.
May or may not contain an announcement that will make a lot of people very happy. That I can tell you because I was told to tell you that when we talked about it.
Okay.
For me, the must grab book for Free Comic Book Day for me is there's a Will Eisner book from NBM, Mad Caves, Phantom, and Speed Racer. And then likely I will pick up the Star Wars book and I don't even know how to say it, from Viz Media, Kagurabachi and Boruto, Two Blue Vortex. So those will definitely be ones I grab. Whether I get Fairyland or not will be dependent on how many are there.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have to pick these up at a wrestling convention. Luckily, there's a shop that's going to be there selling wrestling figures that's also bringing Free Comic Book Day books.
Fun.
Eddie, I could swear, and I could be completely wrong, I thought Valiant canceled their Zombies Resurrection for Free Comic Book Day.
They did.
They did? Okay. Because I was excited for that one too, man. And that IDW one that's got the 3 different stories in it, I got to read that. Dude, that new series of Beneath the Trees, rights of whatever, rights of season or season, whatever it's called, that's going to be amazing. There's an awesome, like, alternate dimension looking high school one where they're sword fighters, but it's like, looks like it's set in the 50s.
Is it Find Your New Fear?
Yeah, I think that's what it's called.
Ed, they're going to release it, but the problem with what happened was the Alien books, Valiant, IDW thing happened at such a time when none of them could really sort out the distribution. So they're going to release it. They're just not going. I do not believe it is going to be a Free Comic Book Day book.
There's a 30 Days a Night story in there too. That's really good. Yeah. Like, excited to pick that one up.
Marvel Voices does look good, but that's one that I will leave only because I don't need to be sold on buying Marvel Voices.
That must be the name of it, Jay, because the only other IDW Free Comic Book Day I see is Godzilla.
Yeah. Like I said, it's probably just abbreviated in here because it was in my list.
Yeah, it's IDW Dark.
Yeah.
It's the first part of it.
Oh, man. It's got 4 stories in it. But yeah, that one, super excited for that one.
All right. Does anybody else have any questions? Anybody else have anything they want to talk about as it relates to the EXP or any of that kind of stuff?
Because if not, I know Triple B's got to get out of here, man.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate you stopping by, brother.
Absolutely. Triple B, plug everything, man.
For sure, man. I will do.
No, right now.
Plug everything. Okay. Well, no, yeah, just I mean, just go on the channel, go ahead and subscribe. I got some freaking crazy ass unboxing videos. I'm gonna be doing again some story review videos, and I'm thinking about doing some non-spoiler comic book reviews. So maybe do some of that. And then yeah, the live shows. I mean, always checking out the hottest artists, the hottest covers. I don't know, man. We just always have fun over here in the Haunted Basement Studio. So yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Always, go check out the ESP, all their shows, because I mean, it's a great community. All of us are a part of a community, and that's what I love about it, because all of us are friends. All of us, there's like, what I love about this whole community, that what the EXP has, created, is that there's no hate. It's all about love and all about respecting everybody. And that's what's so fun about it. There's no drama. And dude, let's just have fun. We live our lives and have fun. So that's what I want to bring to y'all. So I want to thank Kyle and Jay and everybody at the EXP, and just for having me on. It's amazing. And let's keep it, I keep it haunted. So you guys keep it comics too as well.
Absolutely. Thanks, man.
All right, man. Love you guys.
Later,
Good to be talking.
Okay.
Okay. Last call, because your boy's getting tired. It's 10:30. I am trying to confirm the Valiant book for you guys right now. Give me hopefully I get that answer very quickly, because I asked the person who will know. But if I don't, I will throw it in the comments, or I'll mention it tomorrow for everybody. I do want to mention a couple of things in the meantime. So tomorrow, Jen will be back with What's in the Box. She's doing more of what she did last week, which is half off hotness. She's got a killer collection that she's doing half off. Then filling in for the geeks will likely be me. Then Mel and Mog will be here with their show, as always. It will be a super fun show.
Take care, Ed.
And then Friday, Jay will be doing the FOC show with Matthias. I may come to you live from the wrestling convention. We will just see how that goes. I don't know what the reception is going to be like up there. And then Nick will be here with the Original Art Show. He's doing more giveaways this week, guys. And then Nancy will be back on Friday Night Live with her show. I will be here Sunday from 4 to 6. Doing a live sale, probably. It's going to depend on how many times I get hit in the head on Saturday. But we will likely be here Sunday. And then come Monday, be on the lookout. We may have some fun stuff happening starting Monday. So just be watching your emails, be watching your social media. And we will be posting that. Will I do a giveaway on behalf of the Geek Chat just to deprive Rich at least? At this rate, Steve, I will be giving away Diamond Comics. So we will see everybody later on down the road. I appreciate everybody being here. And we will talk next time.